Whenever you're looking at a weekly chart and you certainly think it has the ability to get into those upper ends of the resistance, you come back down into the shorter time frames and you say, all right, what are those patterns in short-term trading that really make up the hallmark of that momentum based on the weekly chart? It's all flags and high bases. When you see momentum on weekly charts, like we're seeing in industrials, basic materials, consumer staples, industrial, healthcare, when you're seeing that type of momentum on the weekly charts, the patterns that are really, really consistent on the daily charts that are great for swing traders are flags and bases. It's not deeper. They don't get deeper. When you have momentum on weekly charts, you don't have the time frame to work into a deeper retracement. And so that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at one of those flags. It does test against that 9 EMA. And so the sector does look pretty decent here as a little bit of an add. And although Santa Claus might not come to the NASDAQ, it might not. It might just say we favor healthcare this year. We're seeing leadership in the cyclical areas. That's been happening over the last 6 weeks. And quite frankly, there's been nothing to happen this week to change that.
All right. Now I'm looking at quite a bit, but I'm gonna consolidate it because I always have my
rapid fire.
Okay. I got 4. And my go-to every time I look at healthcare, my go-to, and we did it together too, because it's like we trade the same stuff. My go-to was Lilly. That's always my go-to. Whenever I think healthcare, I go Lilly, right? So I'm looking at Lilly, I'm like, all right, it's looking good, but 370 is the number, right?
Company handle pattern, 370 is the trigger, and it's got multiple time frame analysis to it as well. At 370, you see it as a high base on that on the weekly chart. That looks like a trigger at 370. When you're looking at the daily chart, that's a cup and handle with the trigger at 370. And so, multiple time frame above 370 makes a lot of sense on Eli Lilly here. What's your next one?
All right. Next one, I got ISRG.
Oh man. ISRG trigger stories.
Lilly was 370. ISRG is 267, 270.
Yeah, I got some history with ISRG that is quite funny sometimes. But ISRG, listen, it's given up the momentum of the 9. You don't love that, but it's still in the same pattern. And so we were looking at a breakout in ISRG. We're still looking at a breakout. And it's pretty clean. It really is. When you look at it on an hourly chart here, you just see that really clean above 267.
Yep.
And so it's a high base type scenario. You look at that on a weekly chart, look at that tight consolidation.
That's
just really, really good. And so you like that as well. And so you don't like the daily momentum here, giving up the 9, but it doesn't change the reason why you like to trade. You like to trade above resistance. It just means it's going to take another day. If the pattern holds, it just takes another day before it breaks out. So you don't like it, but it doesn't change the pattern necessarily, but it does give up that momentum, no doubt about that. But ISRG looks pretty clean on multiple time frames as well. What's your next one?
Abbott Labs, ABT.
Abbott Labs, like this flag here, Abbott Labs. If ISRG, you're talking about a stock that has recovered, right? Eli Lilly, you're talking about a stock that not only has recovered, but it's fighting up against the top. Right, you're talking about leadership there. Whereas if you're looking at about a stock that maybe hasn't already made a run, because momentum traders might like ISRG a little bit better above 267. They might, and position traders, for example, might like the Eli Lilly above 370 type trade, because that multiple time frame on Eli Lilly is a swing trader and a position trader type setup. Whereas if you're looking at a little bit of catch up, and I know there's a lot of traders out there, we all have this in us, right? If you're looking at a position for a little bit of catch up, you got to like Abbott here. A couple things, Doji at the 9 never hurt anybody. And the second thing, the position at 105 here, as long as it can holds that flag here, you're looking pretty decent all the way up into the 200 there on Abbott. And so more of just doesn't really have multiple time frame to it. It's really just a day chart type scenario. And so you're looking at a little bit of momentum. When you do come out to the weekly chart on Abbott Labs, it's not something that can't recover. That's why you like the flag, for the potential of it recovering and playing a little bit of catch up. But there's also a reason it hasn't been a leader. There's also a reason that the other stocks are doing better than it. And that's why we like the momentum there a little bit better. So I honestly, I like the position in Abbott. I think it's a cheaper situation where you're just playing the 9 EMA. But I think the cleaner setups is in either the multiple time frame breakout on Eli Lilly or the high base multiple time frame breakout on ISRG so far.
All right,
What's the next one?
Last one. ACHC Arcadia.
Oh, you went smaller cap here, darling. You went smaller cap. You dug a little bit. I'm going to give you another smaller cap here in a second.
Okay.
ACHC here, Acadia Healthcare here, flag on a breakout. This Cody special, right? Cody special is when you break out of a resistance level and you snap back against that same time frame, you confirm, you get rocking and rolling. It's the proverbial you miss the break, you wait for the retrace, and that's what you're seeing here. The question is, do you got that lean on the weekly chart? And you certainly do have that lean on the weekly chart. Breaking out at 85 here, snap back coming into that breakout channel. Looks pretty decent on a multiple time frame situation. I would just track the flag. You're probably talking about confirmation above 86.
All right, now the next one's all yours. Give me what you got.
I got Pfizer. Pfizer, a big name. Yeah, it is. That's the one I was looking at a little bit was Pfizer earlier today. I think it's a really clean setup, and you can go 49.80 here, but I think the number you call out is 50. It's a significant whole number. You got a little bit of a bull retrace fighting up against a resistance level, pretty consistent on the 9 EMA, and it's also one of those stocks that you don't feel like you're going to have a lot of volatility in, right? There's always volatility in these conditions, but you don't have that sense. It's really caught the 9. It's riding the 9. Pfizer looks pretty decent there as well. WBA, Walgreens, a 42 breakout probably, needs another few days, but a 42 breakout's on the radar here on WBA as well. One off the radar, kind of like your Acadia pick over there. Pretty clean setup against 72 on Globus GMed here. GMed 72, you see that little cup and handle here. Momentum on a positive beat on earnings. I don't track this company. I didn't track their earnings report. I'm assuming it's a positive beat because of the performance, but you might want to double check those numbers. 72 here does look pretty clean. You reclaim 72. Let's see that weekly chart. A little bit of a high base on the weekly chart coincides a little bit more north to that resistance. That looks pretty decent as well. Point is, it's a little bit like 31 flavors here in healthcare right now. When you have an area of the market that looks pretty clean from a pattern, a trend perspective, a lot of the stocks are going to be pretty decent as well. And so you got your pick of the litter there. If I had to say, if I'm looking multiple time frame, maybe swing to position, I definitely like Pfizer and I definitely like Eli Lilly here. I probably ISRG as well. If you're looking at just a short-term trade, you're probably Pfizer above 50, or you're looking at Abbott Labs on the flag with a little bit of catch up, or maybe one of these ACHC or GMed there. I would say multiple time frame swing to position style. I would probably take Eli Lilly above 370. That's the leadership, but it's really close against ISRG and Pfizer for me. If you're looking at just a pure short-term trade, you're probably tracking the Acadia flag-based pattern on the breakout, or most likely the flag off Abbott Labs.